She is called the Rebel Queen of Pop Art in Argentina, a woman who turned books into temples, mattresses into art, and everyday life into a grand performance. This is Marta Minujín, one of the most eccentric and influential artists Latin America has ever produced. From setting her own artworks on fire in Paris to building a Parthenon made entirely of banned books to collaborating with legends like Andy Warhol, Marta has never stopped breaking rules and redefining what art means. In this video, we'll sketch the extraordinary life of Marta Minujín. You'll discover her childhood and early struggles, her rise to fame, her wild lifestyle, her family, and even her net worth today. So stay tuned because the story of Marta Minujín is not just about art, it's about rebellion, freedom, and the courage to live life as one big happening. Marta Minujín was born on January 30th, 1943, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. She grew up in a middle-class family in a city that was alive with tango, politics, and change. From an early age, Marta stood out. While other children played with toys, Marta preferred pencils, colors, and paper. She filled her days with drawings, creating worlds of her own imagination. By the time she was 14, her passion for art was impossible to ignore. She enrolled in the prestigious Escuela de Bellas Artes Manuel Belgrano, one of Argentina's top fine arts schools. But even there, Marta was restless. The strict lessons, traditional rules, and classical training felt like a prison for her creativity. She wanted freedom not to paint inside the lines, but to tear the lines apart. Teachers tried to discipline her, but Marta was already a rebel. She skipped classes, argued with instructors, and rejected anything that felt conventional. She believed that art should not be confined to museums or textbooks. It had to live in the streets, in people's hands, in everyday life. This rebellious spirit marked her childhood and teenage years. While her classmates dreamed of becoming painters or sculptors, Marta dreamed of becoming something else entirely, an artist who would shock, challenge, and change the world. The young girl from Buenos Aires was already on a path to become the icon we now know as the Rebel Queen of Pop Art. In the early 1960s, Marta Minujín left Argentina and set her eyes on Paris, the capital of avant-garde art. It was here, surrounded by experimental thinkers and radical artists, that she began to truly shape her voice. And in 1963, she did something unthinkable. In a performance she called La Destrucción, the destruction, Marta set fire to her own artworks in public. Yes, she burned them, one by one, in front of shocked onlookers. Why? To prove that art was not about objects to be preserved, but about experience, about action, about life itself. This bold act would become her signature, fearless, playful, and rebellious. Back in Buenos Aires, Marta continued to break boundaries. She created her famous colchones mattress sculptures covered in vivid colors, ropes, and paint. These works reflected the everyday life of the city, the intimacy of home, and the chaos of urban life. For Marta, even something as ordinary as a mattress could be transformed into a statement about society. But her most legendary creation came in 1983, right after Argentina's dictatorship ended. In the heart of Buenos Aires, she built a massive replica of the Parthenon, but instead of stone, it was made entirely of books. This Parthenon of books was constructed with over 30,000 banned books texts that the dictatorship had tried to silence. In the early 1960s, Marta Minujín left Buenos Aires behind and traveled to Paris, the beating heart of the avant-garde art movement. She was still in her 20s, but she was determined to make her mark. In Paris, Marta was suddenly surrounded by some of the boldest ideas of her generation. She absorbed performance art, happenings, conceptual pieces, and radical experiments that blurred the lines between life and art. She met and mingled with international artists who were challenging tradition at every step, and among her strongest influences was the New York pop art scene, especially the work of Andy Warhol. His ability to turn everyday objects into icons of culture resonated deeply with Marta. But she wasn't just inspired, she was ready to act. She was ready. Marta began creating her own performances in Paris. Her art wasn't something to be hung on a wall, it was something to be lived. She staged happenings that startled audiences, demanding that people participate, question, and even destroy the art in front of them. By the time she returned to Buenos Aires, Marta Minujín was no longer just a young painter. She was a force of disruption, ready to shake the Argentine art world with bold ideas no one had seen before. In the coming years, Marta would shock, inspire, and challenge her audience, proving that for her, art was not a picture, it was an event. And perhaps that is what makes her story so unique. Marta Minujín balanced motherhood with an unstoppable artistic drive, creating a life that was as unconventional and groundbreaking as her art. As the decades passed, Marta Minujín never slowed down. Even into the 2000s and 2010s, she continued to push boundaries, creating massive, interactive, and unforgettable projects that captivated audiences worldwide. In 2017, she revisited one of her most iconic ideas, the Parthenon of books. This time, the monumental installation was rebuilt in Kassel, Germany, as part of Documenta 14. Thousands of books that had once been banned came together in a vibrant celebration of knowledge, freedom, and artistic expression. Marta's works have not been confined to Argentina. Her art has graced the world's most prestigious institutions, from MoMA in New York to the Tate in London and Malba in Buenos Aires. Each exhibition brought her message of rebellion, color, and creativity to new audiences, proving her universal appeal. Today, Marta Minujín is considered Argentina's most famous living artist, a cultural icon whose influence stretches far beyond the canvas, the stage, or the gallery. Her legacy is more than her artworks. It is a way of thinking, a fearless embrace of life, and a dedication to making art accessible, joyful, and provocative. Marta Minujín reminds the world that creativity has no limits, and that the boldest ideas often leave the deepest marks. Over a career spanning more than 6 decades, Marta Minujín has not only shaped the world of contemporary art, but has also achieved significant financial success. Her estimated net worth is around 1 to 3 million US dollars, earned through the sale of her iconic artworks, large-scale installations, and international exhibitions. Beyond monetary value, Marta has received recognition and awards from both Argentine and international art institutions, cementing her place as a cultural trailblazer. From Buenos Aires to New York, from Paris to Kassel, her name has become synonymous with creativity, rebellion, and innovation. Marta Minujín is more than an artist, she is a living icon of Latin American art, inspiring generations to come. Marta Minujín is more than an artist, she is a symbol of freedom, rebellion, and the limitless power of creativity. Her works challenge authority, celebrate knowledge, and embrace life in all its colors. From burning her own paintings to building monumental Parthenons of banned books, Marta has consistently pushed boundaries and shown the world that art can be a form of liberation. Her influence reaches far beyond Argentina. New generations of artists, performers, and creators across the globe look to her fearless spirit for inspiration, a reminder that art is not just to be seen, but to be lived. Marta Minujín is not just an artist, she is a living happening.